Welcome to the podcast. If you'd like to listen to an ad-free version of this episode and all of our episodes, then search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. That's our premium channel where all of our ad-free and advanced episodes live, all in one place. True Crime Today Premium Plus. Search it on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. Even try it for 3 days free.
The evidence is gone, but the nightmare continues. Welcome to Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski, featuring former prosecutor and defense attorney Eric Faddis.
We are finally seeing some movement in the case of Ellen Greenberg. Even the district attorney just today saying we will have more information very soon. First announcement in more than 2 years, actually, as more and more evidence continues to come to light in this case. There's been some questions now about discrepancies in the autopsy report, bruises, things like that were not even looked at. I mean, they didn't necessarily consider the, post-mortem stab wounds as well. So I guess why would you look at a bruise? But we are seeing people finally saying this is wrong. There's something very wrong here. Joining me to discuss, Eric Faddis, defense attorney, former prosecutor. Let me ask you this. If you're the former fiancé of Ellen Greenberg at this time, Sam Goldberg, and you're off living your life, and this has been all quiet for very, very long, a lot of people are starting to look at this and starting to put pieces together. Not saying he did it, but he hasn't said a lot, and that, I think, is the biggest question. He hasn't said a lot, and I think we need some answers. What would you be thinking at this point if you're Sam Goldberg?
Historically, especially when a woman is killed, or someone believes she's killed, they look towards the spouse, and so that's usually step one is looking in that person's direction. And if this thing has changed from a suicide to a homicide, that's going to reinvigorate this investigation, and he will be the first target they're looking at. I understand being perhaps tight-lipped about a situation that you could be investigated in, even if you didn't do anything. But I imagine he's feeling more nervous than most with respect to this issue.
I would be wondering that. I mean, again, he has never been charged with anything. He is an innocent man as of right now. But yeah, I mean, just you look at the pattern of any of these cases, that's the first person you look at. The problem is this was never investigated. It was very quickly cleaned up the next day. There was people from Goldberg that got in, his attorney and family got in there. It got allegedly a lot of the evidence out in terms of like digital evidence, computers, cell phones, things like that. Place was cleaned up. It wasn't considered necessarily a crime scene, and everybody moved on. But we're hearing more testimony. Paramedics saying when they responded to the scene, coagulated blood. None of the fiance's behavior was a bit odd on that 911 call, which is the weirdest 911 call I've ever heard. But just a lot of facts here that actually have been documented, apparently. And we're hearing the people who were on the scene all saying this was a weird situation, but nothing was done about it. And then we go back to the medical examiner who changed the ruling. When we're trying to investigate that, can we bring all these people back in? Can we go question the medical examiner again? Why did you change this? Are some of these people just not touchable anymore at this point because they've moved on to other areas? Who are they all going to be looking at in this to try and get some of these questions answered?
They're going to have to go back to as if this was day one when all this happened. And the problem is, yes, they'll want to interview the medical examiner, interview paramedics, interview people involved. But there could be a difficulty with that. The medical examiner might have moved to a different country. Some people might have died. These things become a really big problem when you have a cold case that isn't properly investigated in the beginning. And now we're trying to do it years and years later.
Yeah, I mean, it is a bizarre case. Josh Shapiro was the AG at the time in Pennsylvania. Now we know he's, of course, been trying to run for higher office, and he's the governor at the moment in time. But he, of course, he was in the running possibly for a VP pick in this last election cycle. But his name is connected to this, and allegedly some sort of connection to the Goldberg family as well. It's just good for him just to shut up about all this, pretend it didn't ever happen and he had nothing to do with it, because this could kind of drag him into a case where he upheld that ruling, despite the 20 stab wounds and postmortem in the back and the head, saying, yeah, nothing wrong with this.
Call me, a wide-eyed optimist, but I'd like to see them really take a stand in terms of what they believe in. Especially politicians, when they make a mistake in the past, we saw in these VP debates, they are so loath to even make any concessions about it. Whereas the American people, we want to hear someone say, "Hey, if you screwed up, explain it and try to rectify it." But I'm not overly confident that any politician, including him, would do that.
I don't think anybody wants to have any of this on their fingers anymore, but it looks like we're going to see some investigative work done. Hopefully. Of course, there's always room for roadblocks, as there always is in things like this, but the heat seems to be on right now in terms of where this is going, and maybe we will finally get some answers, so to speak. It's up in the air, but I do have a lot of questions, and it would be nice to find out what the hell was up with Sam Goldberg that night. More than just his story. There's a video out now. Apparently there's security footage. It's amazing once people start digging all the things that can come to light. And it's an unidentified individual in the building. Again, we don't know who it is. Could be Sam, could be somebody else. But again, doesn't necessarily mean that that is the murderer. But again, just a lot of questions to be looked into. I'm sure digital footprints are going to be a big question here too. But I mean, how much of that exists all these years later, especially if you knew that you may be a suspect and nobody's stopping you or taking your phone? I don't know. I think I'd be getting rid of every single piece of data I have, even if I had nothing to do with it, just in case.
Oh, exactly. And Tony, digital historical recreation, trying to establish what happened digitally years ago isn't as easy as people think. And there's missing data, there's incompatibility with technology. And so for them to sort of recreate that, I think is going to be an uphill battle.
Welcome to the podcast. If you'd like to listen to an ad-free version of this episode and all of our episodes, then search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. That's our premium channel where all of our ad-free and advanced episodes live, all in one place. True Crime Today Premium Plus. Search it on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. Even try it for 3 days free.
Let's be honest. Nothing kills the thrill of a good murder mystery like a commercial for laundry detergent. It's like someone slapping a closed sign on your favorite dive bar. But you're not here for that, are you? You're here for the good stuff. So ditch the ads and upgrade to True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. With True Crime Today Premium Plus, you get your crime straight. No chaser. Commercial free with extended interviews and early access. It's like getting the bartender's special when the bar's already closed. Search for True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe and drink it all in.